Okay, welcome. Today I'd like to offer a reflection to boarding school survivors and especially those who are married to them. And what I would like to speak on today is around the element of control. So, enjoy. So, over the last few years, I've posted a number of videos about boarding school. If you've not seen them, then I do recommend you have a look. My first one was to do with my boarding school experience. It's it's 40 to 50 minutes, and yeah, it really helps um, people to understand what boarding school was like for me. And I share some of my stories, some of my experiences. I'm currently almost finished writing my second book, called Boarding School Chronicles, a journey of healing, and I've not finished the title exactly, but I've basically 3/4 of the way through writing the book. And someone offered this reflection about being married to a boarding school survivor, and I was talking to my wife, and we've been married now for, I think it's 11 years, but we've been together for 12 years. And what I did was we just sat down and we kind of had a bit of a talk, and I kind of came up with a list of some of the key patterns that I've had that I'm kind of working through. And so what I want to share today is a little bit of her perspective. It's a little bit of, what it's been like and what are some of the key patterns that you will find being married to a boarding school survivor. So I have put a video. I'll put it at the end of this video. I did an original video about boarding school survivors and being married to one. And yet today I just want to go into specifics, and the specifics around control. So a number of years ago I was visiting a monastery. It was a monastery I used to live in. And while I was there, I was talking to an ex-alcoholic, and he was saying that, one of the key teachings in the 12 steps is about control, saying that often alcoholics have this real controlling pattern. And often if you're brought up in a household with an alcoholic, then often you have that same pattern as well. Now, my own father was an alcoholic, and as he was speaking, I could go, oh yeah, I can really relate to that. And this is one of the kind of key points with ex-boarders, is that we have a really controlling nature. And this was the top thing that both my wife and I came up with, is that we are very controlling. And if you're married to a person who's very controlling, then this can be quite challenging at times. So what I'd like to talk on today is just, if you're married to an ex-boarder, then what you can do if you're really noticing this controlling behavior. So first of all, how can this manifest? So, for example, for me, sometimes I feel really annoyed about things. I've learned more in my life now that I don't necessarily speak up. I'll just feel it, and I'll probably take myself off to another room and I'll go, okay, yeah, I'm feeling rather triggered here. But what will often happen with an ex-boarder is they'll be triggered by something and they will speak it, or they will do something. And it might be around certain behaviors, certain times. So, in particular, I'll give an example from my own life. When my wife is doing something like making the fire, or I can sometimes feel this controlling, oh no, she's not doing it the way I want to. And I can feel this tension in me. What I've learnt to do is I've learnt to not say anything. For example, if I've been away working, if I've been away for a few days, when I come back, then I can again be quite controlling. This relates back to boarding school, but I still am noticing this pattern here now. So one of the things I do is just with mindfulness, I'll take myself off to um, a spare room and I'll just do some breathing. I'll notice, okay, I have a charge here. I'll come back and I want to be very controlling. Why haven't you done this? Why haven't you done that? And so if you're listening to this and you're an ex-boarder and you're a boarding school survivor, then my invitation, if you notice these patterns of control, take yourself off to a separate space, breathe, acknowledge, bring consciousness to it. It's like bringing your shadow, which is behind you, bringing it to the front and going, oh yeah, this is a pattern. When are my triggers? So for me, my triggers can be when I've been away and I come back, and also when I'm about to go away. Again, this relates to boarding. Getting ready to leave for school, it's like it was a stressful time. I didn't want to go, and therefore I still have that pattern that I have to catch myself of. I can be quite controlling in those moments before I leave to go away. I need you to do this. Have you done that? I have to go, oh, okay. I laugh, take myself off. Sometimes I don't catch myself. So it's working out your trigger points. So if you're an ex-boarder, notice your trigger point, and before you speak to your partner, take yourself off to a spare room, do some breathing, walking back and forth. There's plenty of videos, and I'll put some videos in the description below about some of the practices you can do. What can you do if you're married to this boarding school survivor who is being really controlling? So these are some examples that both my wife and I came up with, probably mainly my wife. She says, the first thing is like understanding that they have this behavior and not reacting. This is a difficult one because what happens is often as ex-boarders, we do this behavior and then someone reacts, and rather than it healing, what happens is we just perpetuate that behavior. What I've found really helped me with my wife is when she feels it and she emotes it. What does that mean? It means that, say for example, I'm being controlling, or I'm going, oh, why haven't you done this? What she will do is she will feel that, and then she will either express it as tears. She'll feel into that sadness of being controlled, and she'll just start crying. And what happens with me is immediately I'm like, oh, I can feel that. It's like, oh God, I'm really sorry. Whereas if when she goes into anger, or she kind of gets mad at me or does something along those lines, then I stay in my patterns. Whereas when she emotes, when she feels it, and this is what my wife said to me, when she feels it and she emotes, then something shifts. And I'd certainly feel that. I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to change what I'm doing. So yeah, she goes on to say is like, show that it hurts you. Express that feeling of hurt. How does it feel to be controlled? The next thing really is not blaming them. So when they're in that controlling pattern, you can see that this is their wounding. So it's not blaming them, but you're just expressing what you feel. Okay, they're struggling at the moment. The next point is about what language do you use? If you use the blaming language of, you shouldn't be controlling me, why are you doing this? If you come back to the I statements, I feel really upset when you give me a hard time. I really feel sad when you control me. When you speak from that perspective, again, they don't feel blamed. It's like, oh, they can, we can feel this, and therefore we can respond rather than react. And the final the point is around being comfortable. around your expressing your emotions. Tears or sadness, it's like to be comfortable, because when you model that, then you make it safe for your partner. And yeah, I mean, I found that I wasn't emotional, and maybe that's another video. Please do comment below if you would like me to speak more on this. But I feel that I wasn't emotional for like the first 15 years after, from the age 10, 11 up to say 25, 26. And then I became more able to connect to my emotion. So when you model that as a partner of an ex-boarder, you give them that space to, oh, it's okay. And if they try and fix you and go, oh, no, it's, then you just say, this is what I feel. So coming at it from a perspective of the boarder, if you're an ex-boarder and your wife is upset or your husband is upset, don't try and fix them. Just let them feel and hold space for them, whether that's hugging, but really acknowledge, okay, this is what it feels like. It might be uncomfortable, but don't try and fix them. Just hold space for them. Like, allow the feelings to come up that, oh, this is how it feels when I act in this way, this is the response. And so you learn on a deep level that this is quite painful to be around, and therefore the next time I'm going to catch myself and I'm going to change this behavior. I've got baby magpies in the bush behind me. So so that's really it. Control. So it's understanding that they have this behavior and not reacting to it. Feel it and emote. Next one is not blaming them. Next one is watching what language you use, and then being comfortable with your emotions. Like, this is what I feel. And, and if you're an ex-boarder, it's like, don't try and fix them. Let them be in their emotions, because that will help you to see, all right, this is how my behavior affects them. So, I hope you enjoyed this. If you'd like me to speak further on these, then please do. If you would like me to talk more about how these certain behaviors unfold, and any questions you have about borders, then please feel free, and please feel free to visit my website as well, where I have other articles and videos about ex-boarders. So enjoy, and I wish you many blessings, and please feel free to comment below. Okay, take care.